Perimenopause walks into a pub. How perimenopause became public conversation through comedy.
Four. Skate. Four.
In this short video essay, I will discuss how perimenopause became public conversation through comedy. I will talk about the diagnosis, the jokes that used to be made about menopausal women, Leanne Morgan the comedian, and how comedians bring social issues to light in a very important and different way than other public intellectuals. Now, what is even perimenopause? According to the British United Provident Association, perimenopause is when your hormone levels start to change in your elderly years, but it's before your periods stop completely. In most people, it will happen naturally between the ages of 45 and 55 and last for several years, sometimes a decade or more. I'm going to put up a timeline of a woman's life and the hormonal changes that are associated with it. As you can see, this shows the length of time for each chapter of a woman's lifespan, the longest periods being later in life, like motherhood, perimenopause, menopause, and end of life. Notice how long perimenopause can last and the ages that it starts. Now that we know it lasts a decade or more in some women, we can also talk about how this hormonal change comes with a slew of symptoms. Changes in your menstrual cycle, hot flashes and night sweats, headaches, dizziness, incontinence and bladder problems, weight gain, joint and muscle pain, and difficulty sleeping, and more, and more, and more, and more, and more. But these symptoms together alone are not enough to be officially diagnosed with perimenopause, because there is no one test to determine this change. So many women go unknowingly into this really difficult stage of life and live very uncomfortably for a decade or more. Along with these uncertainties, there's limited menopause-specific medical training in the healthcare sector. Providers are often short on time, leaving them to band-aid each individual symptom instead of putting them all together as a whole and telling you have perimenopause. Along with that, outdated assumptions still persist, which leave younger women on the spectrum of perimenopause out of consideration and out of the discussion. The outdated assumptions surrounding perimenopause perpetuate the idea that women who are experiencing hormonal changes are irrational, moody, emotional, or crazy, instead of recognizing these behaviors as possible symptoms. Popular culture continues these assumptions through sexist comedy.
Nag. You see how Carla is lately?
How are her hot flashes? Any better?
Aren't you that crazy cat lady?
We could play bon-bon toss with your wife.
Besides, it's not the dress that makes you look fat.
For you, maybe you're a middle-aged woman.
Are you fucking joking?
You gotta be patient with her, gotta be kind to her all the time, agree with her with everything, nice all the time. Jeez, this change of life is a lousy thing, you know.
He was a cruel, cranky old bitch.
These jokes are funny to a specific audience because they can all recognize the specific stereotype. But the stereotype itself came from the society that doesn't take women's health seriously. Instead of asking women why they are acting differently, comedy encourages audiences to laugh at them for acting differently. As writer Kirian Satia stated in their Our Predicament Is No Joke review, humor is philosophically interesting because amusement can be justified. We can give reasons why something is funny or not, without any expectation that the reason we give speaks to rational beings. In other words, jokes don't have to be morally right or agreed upon in society to make us laugh. They only have to feel familiar to us. When the familiar image of a middle-aged lady is depicted as a nagging wife, the hormonal coworker, or the crazy cat lady, comedy helps reinforce these stereotypes and assumptions. And these assumptions matter because the women who are experiencing these symptoms genuinely were being made fun of by their family, their friends, their husbands, their coworkers, and their doctors. This is where comedy becomes a double-edged sword. The observations behind the jokes are real because, yes, women's symptoms of menopause do cause them to be a little emotional, if you will. but the conclusions drawn from the jokes are not real. As the author of Wit, Satire, and Subversion wrote, Shakespeare's fools, through humor, are licensed truth tellers and function as an intellectual critic of social hypocrisy. Basically stating, yes, jokes are funny because jokes always have a little bit of truth behind them. But that does not make them right, and it does not help the fact that it perpetuated these sexist ideas towards menopausal women, and it hurt women. But somewhere along these lines, the jokes changed. For decades, comedians were making jokes about women. Women were the punchline. But Leanne Morgan flips all of that around. She isn't making women the joke anymore. She's making perimenopause, the feelings that she's been having, the experience that she's going through, the joke. It seems like a very tiny difference, making the joke about women instead of the joke about the experience of being a woman, but it's actually huge. The hot flashes, the brain fog, weight gain, the waking up at 3 a.m. for no reason and sweating through your sheets. That's what she is making funny. Not women. Perimenopause. I will now be showing clips of Leanne Morgan.
I wish somebody told me what was headed in my way. I think I could have dealt with it better. Okay, there's a thing that's going to happen to y'all. In your late 30s, early 40s, it can start then, and it comes in the middle of the night, like a ghost. And it's called perimenopause. And nobody talks about it. And they should, because it lasts 10 years. And these boys that are my age, they've already been through this. Honey, they've laid in the bed next to a woman and thought, is that steam coming off of her? Her hormones are just like this, just a nut. Y'all's hormones will be similar to a middle school girl. Do you remember that, Hora? I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. So he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back.
I think the audience is actually one of the more interesting parts of Leanne Morgan's sets. She is in an audience of people like her. Same with the men who are making jokes. We're in an audience of people like them, men. She's with women roughly her age who have also gone through this experience, and that makes it so much more crucial to be talking about a topic like this, something that is overlooked by the medical community, something that has been frowned upon in society. Don't talk about that. It is even more important for this specific group, women who are this age, who are going through this cycle in their life, to talk about it in a group all together. If you stop watching Leanne for a second and start watching the crowd, you'll notice they're laughing for completely different reasons than the older clips that I showed. Women aren't sitting there watching Leanne make fun of them. They're sitting and thinking, oh my gosh, me too. And I love that about Leanne Morgan. It's like everyone's collectively realizing they're not the only one going through this stage in their life. Instead of ridicule from men, they feel relief hearing it from another woman. And the audience feels understood instead of singled out. All of this to say is I love Leanne Morgan, and her job as a comedian is so important. Comedians are public intellectuals. They're not doctors, they're not scientists, they're not trying to do something they're not trying to do. But they are translators. They translate from all of this ridiculous jargon, from all of these studies, from all of these things. They bring their experiences, they say a story, and they share it with the crowd. But there's always a little bit of backing from those bigger institutions. I have another clip that I would love to talk about. It has nothing to do with perimenopause. It's this joke that Kevin Hart made. This is a little detour. He made a joke about only having left feet under the table.
Perfect. Give me one reason why you can't eat no goddamn sweets with your fucking family. Why can't you enjoy dessert with your fucking family? I said, I don't know. Maybe because there's only a bunch of left feet under the table. How about I start there? Huh? Think about it. Think about it. You get it? It's a diabetes joke. It's a diabetes joke. So in black families, when they get diabetes, the first thing they lose is their foot. So I'm saying, if you look under the table, it's only a bunch of left feet because everybody got their right foot cut off.
He was able to be the translator. The joke is there. If you knew the background information, you laughed. If you didn't know, he told you, and then the next time the thing comes up again, you're gonna laugh. They're translators. The doctors tell us what's happening to our bodies in medical jargon and terms. Researchers write their papers, but comedians explain the life behind everything. They explain the feeling. They take something that lives in medical journals, in doctors' offices, and translate it into everyday conversations that people actually have with their friends and spouses and parents and coworkers. Because think about it. What do you send to your parents on Instagram Reels? Memes, jokes, funny things. I actually even send clips of stand-up comedians to my family because they talk about real life issues. How amazing is that? Comedians are the public intellectuals. Perimenopause didn't become a real thing because comedians talked about it. Medical researchers have been doing it for years and already studying it. Knowing something exists and actually talking about it are two different things. And this is where comedy comes in. For so long, women were the joke. The crazy wife, the hormonal coworker, the nagging wife and having her midlife crisis. People laughed because they recognized these behaviors. But no one stopped and asked why these behaviors were happening. Then the women started telling the jokes themselves. Comedians like Leanne Morgan didn't pretend that the hot flashes and brain fog weren't real. They are real. But instead of using them to make fun of women, she used them to explain what women are going through. Comedy didn't solve the perimenopause anxiety problem, didn't invent any new medical research, didn't make any medications, didn't create new tests to finally diagnose it, but it gave people a way to talk about something that has been living quietly in doctor's office and family reunions for years, quietly. It gave you a way to talk about it. Once people can laugh with somebody instead of at them, people are a lot more likely to listen. And I don't think this is all just true for my specific topic of perimenopause. Comedy can bring so many more issues to public light and create public conversation simply through the comedy. You can see the same thing happening with conversations around breast cancer, postpartum, depression, alcoholism, mental health, and suicide. Sometimes people need someone to bring up the uncomfortable topic first as a little joke to start making it more comfortable. That is what comedians do best. They don't just make us laugh. They make us feel seen as humans, as part of our groups. They make us feel seen in each of our little groups that we all belong to. Sometimes they make an entire culture finally ready to have a conversation it should have been having all along. Thank you for watching how perimenopause became public conversation through comedy. I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Lotta, the professor who created this assignment for me as part of my Comedians as Public Intellectuals course. And another thank you to the University of Alabama Study Abroad program, UA at Oxford, for such an amazing experience for me to take this specific class.